What up, people? It's your girl Tanya with Books and Brown Liquor, and this video is my book wrap up for the month of July. Okay, July was such a good reading month. Okay, let me tell you. So the first book was Shallow Waters by Anita Kopax. This book is lovely. This book is about Orisha, Yemeya, often depicted as a mermaid. She has basically formed a very close bond with a human on the shores of the continent of Africa. And then one day she watches in horror as him and his village are taken into captivity. What does she do? She follows the slave ship all the way to America, and she is looking for him. But in the process of looking for him, she helps so many other Black people along her journey. The book is inspirational. The book it's painful, but it's also beautiful because the things that she has subjected herself to, I love the way the Black people look up to her because they know her story. She doesn't even know her power. She doesn't even know who she is, but it's the people around her and their belief in her that kind of like pushes her to become this great Orisha that you hear about. So I love this story. It's very sweet. It's very inspirational. I love the fact that she goes out of her way to help the other enslaved Black people, even though she's on a mission to find this one person. She helps all these other people along the way. And the book incorporates other historical figures that we all know of. It doesn't say their name, but it describes them so well. You know exactly who she's referring to in this book when you read it. This book was a 5. I really enjoyed this. I recommend it. Shallow Waters by Anita Kopax. Moving on. The next book. Keep It in the Family by John Mars. If you are a fan of John Mars's writing, this book will not disappoint, okay? This is the story of a husband and wife, Mia and Finn. They are searching for the perfect home to start a family. Basically, they buy this fixer-upper. It's been vacant since the 1970s. And they basically discover that they have bought Murder House. Because when they go around the house, they basically find they find bodies in the house. And it catches the attention of the authorities, the media, and that leads them down this long path of, first of all, how did these bodies get here and who the hell did it? And then we discover who the hell did it and why. Now, there's no real good way to justify hurting children, kidnapping children. This book does have child harm in it. I need you to know that. There is no justification. However, there is a character in the book that remains unnamed that goes into detail about why they go after children, how they subdue them and get these children, and then like how they hurt them. That's not easy to read. But the overall story is very well written. It's very creepy. And John Mars does it again. If you enjoyed What Lies Between Us by John Mars, you will definitely enjoy Keep It in the Family. And I will tell you right now, plot twist on plot twist on plot twist. And then the ending, that ending fucked me up, yo. I'm gonna tell you right now, if you have a feeling in your gut that something isn't right, don't let nobody talk you out of it. Believe it. That's all I gotta say. Moving on. The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I did not love this book. I wanted so much to love this book, but I didn't, and I'm gonna tell you why. Our main character, Avery Graham, she discovers that she inherits the entire fortune of a well-known billionaire, and she's never met this man before. And he leaves her his entire fortune and his remaining family members. He basically leaves them a crumb. And she has to live in his family house for a year before she can accept her fortune. She's living with his 4 grandsons, whom he's left a couple of crumbs to. And he has 2 daughters. And she has to live with this family, knowing that he ain't leave them jack shit. Everything was left to her. So that comes with some awkwardness at the breakfast table, right? And then, on top of that, our main the billionaire, he loved games, he loved riddles, he loves leaving clues. So after he passed away, each person gets a letter and it has clues in it. And the main point of the story for me is, why the hell does a billionaire leave his fortune to a complete stranger, right? The book mostly focused on all the clues that he left behind, all of the little riddles and the games, and go to this tower, go to that bridge, go to that basement, go to that secret room. Look, it had games and riddles. And I thought that after they solved all of these games and riddles, we would get our answer. What irritated me is, at the end of the book, we didn't really get the answer or the resolution as to why he left his fortune to a stranger. The end of this book is just clues for another damn mystery. I don't want to know that shit. So that irritated me, because I still don't know why he did this. I got to read all 3 books before I can find out. I ain't feeling that. So that irritated me. So for me, this book is like a 2.5. Sorry. Memphis by Tara M. Stringfellow. Memphis is the story. Excuse me. Our main character is Joan. She is a teenager. It takes place in 1995. And the story is told from perspectives of different women in the family. Her Aunt August, her mother Miriam, and then grandmother Hazel. The stories are told throughout different timelines, going back to the 50s, around right before the Civil Rights Movement, the 90s for Joan, and then even the mom, Miriam, it talks back when she first met the dad. The reason they are in Memphis in the first place is because mom and dad, their marriage is a little rough. Dad's got a bad temper. So the marriage is a little rough. So they go back home to Memphis. Joan is dealing with her own issues, dealing with her own adversity. I'm not going to go into detail about that, but dealing with her own adversity and how she uses art to kind of use she expresses herself through art. And then her aunt realizes, you really have a talent for this. And so I can't go into too much detail, but I will say there are some historical events that are incorporated in the book. So I would say this is kind of like a fiction book, but also historical fiction, because the events that take place you will recognize. So I'm not going to say too much. I enjoyed this book. This is a 4 for me. The next book was White Horse by Erica T. Worth. Our main character is Carrie. She is an indigenous woman. The story takes place between Colorado and Idaho Springs. And she refers to herself as an urban Indian. So she didn't grow up on a reservation. She grew up in the city. Her main conflict is that when she was 2 days old, her mother just up and disappeared. So she has grown up with this resentment because her mother basically abandoned her. And then her father had a really bad car accident, and he has brain damage. So she's basically been his caregiver for most of her life. So she's very resentful, very angry at her mother for just leaving. And then one day, her cousin is cleaning out an old room in her dad's house, and he comes across a copper bracelet that used to belong to her mother. When she touches this bracelet, she sees the ghost of her mother. She also sees a dark entity with her mother as well. So she starts to do some research about her mother and her mother's family, and it begs the question, did her mother abandon her, or did something happen to her mother? And so this story is basically her journey finding out the truth about her mother and her mother's family, and her mother and her family's history. Okay, sorry about that, having some recording issues. But yes, White Horse, Erica T. Worth, it is worth it. That was a 5 stars for me. And then my last book, The Hunger by Alma Katsu. Let me tell you. Okay, take number 3. My last book for the month of July was The Hunger by Alma Katsu. This is a retelling of the Donner Party. Back in 1846, they left Illinois on their way to California. They're trying to get rich off the gold rush, trying to start over. Well, everybody don't make it home for Christmas, okay? So basically, the story is retold with supernatural events. It is believed that there are there's a supernatural entity that dwells in the plain. This is before like the railroads were built to connect the East Coast to the West Coast. So if you and your wagon party were going from Illinois to California, you were pretty much on your own, okay? And basically, like I said, there is a supernatural entity that interferes with their progress. People are coming up missing, and then when they find these missing people, what's left of them, let's just say it wasn't a wolf, okay? But it talks about indigenous folklore, and it's very well done. It's very creepy. It's very well done. I enjoyed this book. This was like a 4.5 for me. I like how she retold this story. Like I said, the Donner Party, that is a true event. That really happened. But this is a creepy, supernatural retelling of what happened to this group of people out here in the middle of nowhere on their way to California. It is well written. It is well done. It's creepy as hell. Okay, this book definitely makes you afraid to take a road trip. Please excuse the cat here. I have company right here and she keeps interfering. But anyway, thank you so much for tuning in to my July book wrap up. I thank you for watching as always. I wish you good reading. Bye.